Hi.
Hi,
Hi, Kino. How are you?
I'm okay, and you?
I'm fine. I'm so sorry. I thought it's 11 o'clock Mountain Time, so you're 7 o'clock tonight, right? So something is
10
wrong.
a,
Yeah.
yeah, 10 a.m. your side is 7 p.m. my side, 11 your side would be 8 p.m. my side. But it's no problem. I get
Okay.
this all the time. Yeah, there's
Okay,
always
great. Yeah.
confusions all the time.
I didn't have time to do my makeup, so
Yeah.
so is that okay? Because
Oh, yeah, no, it's perfect. You're looking great. I was actually laughing when I saw that message, but I was like, it's all cool. It's all
okay,
cool.
great. Yeah,
I mean,
great.
I'm still traveling, over the festive period. So I'm not even at home myself, So this is like
Yeah.
a last shot for 2024. So,
Okay.
but I love to keep it 100% organic. So makeup, no makeup, it's all cool. You're looking great. It's good to have you. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, it's my pleasure too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. How's it been so far?
Happy holidays. Yeah, it's been busy, very busy. But
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah, I have just catched up on my deadlines.
It's crazy. Yeah, in this business, there's no as much as it's holidays, it's not really like 100% holidays.
Yeah, that's
There's still
yeah,
stuff. Like I love to use this time as well, just to tie up loose ends as well. I'm like mentally prepare myself
yeah,
for the next year ahead.
yeah.
I know Mickey's already got a schedule for me already for January, starting next week. So
Well,
I'm excited about it. So I'm just like, mentally preparing myself, wrapping up the year. So
yeah,
it's good to use the time, for that as well, while
yeah,
still trying to give yourself some sort of like,
yeah.
break. But how's your morning so far? Besides,
Oh,
no
I
makeup.
just scrambling. Yeah. Because now we all work from home, right? So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
do
yeah.
my makeup every day. And only for special occasions like this, or if I need to go out. And so
Yeah.
I check my
Yeah.
email. Oh my God. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but at least I'm patient, Like I mean, the longest I've waited was about 30 minutes. I waited like 30 minutes for someone because we also got mixed up with the time zone. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm quite patient. Like I leave room for that because I know at times, things always that doesn't always go according to plan. It's life. We human.
yeah.
It happens. It
And I'm
happens.
new to this. So
But like I can already see that you born for this. You're born for this. You're natural. Like you
oh,
calm. The composure is there. You're smiling.
thank
So it's
you.
good.
Yeah,
Good. It's good.
thank you.
So yeah, I mean, we can get to it. I mean, before we get to your awesome book, I haven't read it as yet, but
Mm,
what I've gathered so far from it, the information that's been provided for me,
yeah,
it's quite awesome. I'd love to get to know you, better. You were born, you grew up in China, so this is actually like a milestone for the podcast as well. It's the first time I've had someone like born and raised in China, come onto the podcast. So that's
wow,
cool. That's cool.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you relocated to Canada in the 80s. So, I mean, we can start there, before we get on to your writing and the book itself, you know, just share like, some information about yourself,
yeah,
especially like growing up like in China, your relocation, that could be a cool starting point. So, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the show is yours, the floor is yours. Go for it.
For for sure. Thank you. Yeah, I was born in the 60s, and my parents they are intellectuals. Like we call intellectuals because my father was a university professor and my mom was a lab technician. And but in 1966, the Cultural Revolution started in China, and during the Cultural Revolution, they destroyed tons of books and you know, not only books but antiques, old paintings, old clothes, old photos, like temples, Buddhist statues, and they kill people, right? Like the anybody who was labeled as a black class are bad people. Like intellectuals, they're black class. They're supposed to be bad people because they have knowledge. Believe it or not, like knowledge is a
Yeah,
dangerous stuff, right? Whoever possesses
yeah,
knowledge
yeah.
can think for themselves. So that's what the top leader did first to attack the intellectuals and also those people in position, like at a government position, like government officials. So, but anyway, so during that time, the many books were banned. So we only have, as well as other art forms like performing arts, like operas, like plays, right? So during that 10 years in China, believe it or not, there's only 8 like Chinese operas, like opera include operas and stage plays and ballet. Altogether is 8, because only 8 those 8 performing art things are considered revolutionary, considered like good for people. So all others were banned, and even not only that, all the like authors and playwrights, and they're either locked up or sent to the concentration camp, and lots of them commit suicide actually.
Sure.
So, yeah, and in terms of novels, there's like one author were published during that time. Because his work are considered revolutionary. So one author and 8 plays. So there was like a culture desert. That was a desert.
Yeah.
But in 1976, Chairman Mao passed away. Then Deng Xiaoping took over power. So starting in early 80s, China reopened its door to the Western world, and also carried out economic reform. So then that is when the flood of information books came in to China from outside the world. Actually, in the 1950s, there's a lot of really great Western literatures were translated into Chinese, and they were available in the 1950s. But before I was born, by the time I was born, it was all gone, right? So, but in the 80s, books start to flood in, and that's when we start to read Western works, not only fictions but also non-fictions, like novels and poems and philosophy, history, art history, like whole bunch of things. That was the best time for many Chinese, like for like young Chinese, basically. At the same time, there's opportunity to come out to Western, like to come out of the country to study, right? So that was the only way, pretty much, for us to come to another country as an international student. So I was an international student to pursue my master's degree in Canada. That's how I came out in 1988. And at the time, like after we graduated, we supposed to go back to our country. There's no way we could stay. But in 1989, in June, on June 4th, the Tiananmen massacre happened. The 1989 democratic movement in China. So students went to street, like actually in Beijing, they went to Tiananmen Square to demonstrate. They were just against the government corruption. They were not against the government or anything, just against the corruptions. But then on June 4th, Deng Xiaoping ordered in the troops with tanks, and they start to shoot. So so about because official numbers, they said, like 2,000 people were killed, but actually it was like about 10,000 people were killed that day. So after that, the local Canadian Chinese organizations, they lobbied the Canadian government, to allow us to stay, because they cited a similar historical event when something like that happened to another country. International students were allowed to stay. So that's how we stayed in Canada. Not like recent years, right? People can immigrate because they're we call technical immigrants, or because they possess certain knowledge and skills, and the investment in immigrants. So they have money to invest in Canada. But way back when, there was no such thing existed. So that's how I stayed. So that's my, to cut the long story short, that's how we stayed. When that news was announced, at the time, I think in Canada was over 4,000 or 6,000 Chinese international students altogether. Every single person decided to stay. Like every single person chose to stay. Yeah, so that's my how I stayed here.
Sure. It was
Yeah.
probably quite traumatizing, you know.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
that is yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, like, I mean, I was only born in 1988.
Oh
So, I can just imagine, you can't even imagine, being in
yeah,
that situation.
yeah.
But like what I can say about this, Winston Churchill said this once, at times you have to look for the blessings in disguise. So at least for you, you made it out, you studied, you got your degree, and you were still able to stay back. Do you see it as a blessing in disguise, or were you, actually willing to go back to China? Or did you want to go back to China?
Well, I put it this way. I paid a very heavy price for my freedom because what happened is was at the time when the news was announced, we were told we were not limited by the immigration quota because we were a special case. So like immigration quota doesn't apply to us. All of us would be landed within a year. That's when the local immigration office send the officers come to like university campus to tell us that, right? And at the time, the school I went to was University of Saskatchewan. So they located in Saskatoon. And within a year, across Canada, in every single city, the Chinese students were landed. So basically, they obtained their immigration status. In Saskatoon, it took 2.5 years. So during that 2.5 years, my father had a liver cancer and passed away. And I was not able to go back to see him. Because what happened was on Canada side, when you have something called dual status, so you are an international student and you also applied for immigration. Once you leave the country, you cannot come back. They won't let you come in. So my parents, actually my family lied to me. They didn't tell me the truth. They told me my father had a kidney stone. So they've been lying that to me. But on the other side, lots of things happened in China before I came to Canada. That is in my third book, actually. So to cut a really long story short, after I graduated from university in China, I went to teach in the same university where my father taught. So we were all living in a university campus. That's how the setup is, right? We live in we call a work unit. You live within the work unit, the residential area of the work unit. And the son of the president of the university I worked at pursued me, and later I didn't like him at all. Like, this guy is just stupid. Okay, anyway. But his family blindly, like without even know if how did I really feel about this guy. Like, I went out with the guy like twice. Well, actually, first time was in another people's home, right? That another person's home. And the second time, like, we had a walk. That was it. I didn't like him at all. But his father asked a middleman to come to my family to propose. And my parents knew how I felt about this guy. So my parents turned them down. Basically said, no, my daughter's too busy. She's doing this and that, and she's teaching. She's studying English. She want to, prepare her English so she can go abroad to study. And because that was a huge, how do I put it, like a losing face for the president, right? So then he tried everything to block me coming to Canada. It was a long story. I almost escaped to Canada. Like, even though everything was legal, I have, my acceptance letter from actually four graduate schools in North America. And the policy at the time, the Chinese policy allowed us to come out, and I obtained the scholarship from those graduate schools. Not like I didn't need the Chinese money. Like I didn't need the Chinese government money. So, but I actually like literally escaped from China. So my parents were deeply worried. Like if I go back to China, I would be like in this president's hands again, right? I like whole experience made me feel like I was like a bug in his hand. He could like squeeze me, like he could kill me at any time he wants. Because in China, there's another policy at the time. You can't even quit. Like you can't quit, but if you quit your job within 5 years, you were not allowed to come out. You were not allowed to leave China. Imagine 5 years, and also at that time, the labor market was not open yet. So when we graduate from like university, we were assigned a job to a certain place. There's no free job market. You can't go, like you can apply to different jobs, but you need your current work unit's reference letter. Without this reference letter, nobody will take you. And the reference letter will be in president's hand, right? So from the time my father was ill until he passed away, it was like 5 months. Toward the end, I learned the truth. He had liver cancer and he didn't have much time. So I went to the Saskatoon local immigration office, and because at that time we were already past the 1 year mark, right? Because we were told we would be landed in 1 year. By that time it's like 2 years already. And so I was begging him, can he speed my case up because of this situation? Or if they can issue me a return visa, right? So in States, same thing happened. The United States, they allow the Chinese students to stay, but if they need to go back to China for any reason, the states will issue them a return visa, so they didn't have to go through that process in China again, right? So I went to see this immigration officer, and pleaded my case. And I was so shocked what he said to me. He said, why every time your country has a problem, you guys come to us? I know at that time I was too inexperienced and now know what to say. Like I didn't know what to say. Like with my life experience and knowledge today, I would have said something like, well, for the sake of humanity. But at the time, I didn't know what to say. And also because like Saskatoon delayed our process. So those students who already graduated and had their degree, they couldn't find a job because they were not landed immigrants. They didn't have they couldn't work. So they organized together and sent a few representatives and went to the local immigration office to talk. It's similar, right, to plead our case. And I was not involved in that thing. But when I met this immigration officer, he said, like you guys, you couldn't find a job and you come to us. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care even if you go to Swift Street. It's not our concern. So I remember sitting across from him on his desk. There's a glass cover on his desk, and under the glass, there's 2 photos of 2 teenager girls. They're very pretty. And I said something. I said, are these your daughters? He said, yes. And that was the only time he smiled. He said, yes. I wanted to say, well, imagine if you're dying. If like, let's switch shoes, right? You're dying and your daughters couldn't see you for the very last time. Yeah. But I didn't say that because I was too afraid. Because of my China experience, I was afraid if I provoke him, then he would deny my application altogether. Yeah. Like I didn't know. I thought he may have that power. I didn't know. So I didn't say anything. So last time I saw my father was when in the train station when he was saying off. Actually, we live in a small university town, right? So I need to take the train to a bigger city called Xi'an. Xi'an is where they dug out those terracotta soldiers and horses. That is the first emperor who united China is buried. So I need to travel from our town to Xi'an, then from Xi'an to Beijing. So while the day I was leaving our house, my parents didn't even come out to. Well, Chinese tradition, if somebody go away, especially for a long time or far away, your family, your friends will come out to walk with you together to train station, right? They didn't even come out of the house because they were afraid the neighbors would know. Once neighbors know, the president would know. Once president knew, he would try to stop me. Like he tried every single thing to stop me. So, but after I arrived to Xi'an, I stayed in Xi'an for a few days. Then my father traveled to Xi'an, so he could see me off in the train station in Xi'an. That was the last time I saw him.
I'm so sorry. I'm really
That's
sorry.
why I said I paid a very heavy price for my freedom.
Yeah. No, you did.
Yeah.
You did. I mean, this is like a proper, true, organic, success story. Like, thank you for being open and transparent, about how it all started for you and the price. As you said, I quote, you had to pay for your freedom. But wow, I mean, I look at you today and look at all that you've accomplished going through that traumatic process. It's it's really emotional. It's really emotional. And like just listening to your story, I see similar situations, still happening around the world, even in 2024. And, the issues that immigrants who are wanting to leave the country because of government, because of conflicts and are battling. And, the refugees all around the world, that are suffering at the moment. After this podcast here, I want to invite you to come on to another global forum that I've actually created. An author actually from Canada as well, Don Sawyer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. So
I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've started our own global forum. It's a panel that happens each and every single month. The first panel was in December. It's uploaded. I'll share the link with you so you can see what it's about. We have between 8 to 10 people, humanitarians all around the world that come on. And our main issue, not issue, but main objective here is to not only touch on all the global issues that we're facing as the human race at the moment globally, but also bring solutions to the table by inviting people like such as yourself, to share their experiences and thoughts and views and solutions, how us as humans can actually stay united and actually, stop all these conflicts that's happening, all around the world. It's an ambitious goal. But as Dawn says, which inspired me, is like, we rather try than not try at all.
Yeah.
So based on what you told me, I'm going to share with you all the information about it. I'll share with you the link for the first panel that we've had. We had the honor of having a humanitarian called Kelly Flynn, who's actually, involved in the Palestine and Gaza conflicts. And, she's in the middle of it all. And her job there, is to cease, conflict. So she's in the middle of it all, as we speak. So, it's those sort of individuals that we're bringing on, and we just like, sharing it and, discussing, what can we do? It's ambitious. As I said, it's ambitious, but, we're giving it a go.
And I feel, virtual one, right?
Sorry?
Is it a virtual one? Or
yeah, it's a virtual one.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's a virtual one. It's a virtual one.
Yeah.
So you'll check it out, and if it's something, you'd be interested in, please, let me know and we can invite you onto the January panel. Yeah. That'll be a perfect platform, for this topic. But thanks for sharing that. As I said, this is like a proper organic success story.
Thank you.
You can make it, in your profession, in this industry. Anyone can make it. I mean, anyone can make it. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you. I truly, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's an emotional way to start out the podcast. But, with my show, of course, as I say, like I give gratitude for the guests that I have on for being authentic as well. But I love to share, each person's story because that's the inspiration that I want ignited with my listeners, because they stuck in different areas in their life, especially psychologically. Everyone has their own traumatic experiences, and that becomes a blockage now in their life. But it's also like a self-conflicted blockage because they're allowing it, to actually stay, mentally in their mind there. It's not allowing them to move forward, whether it be a musician, whether it be an author, absolutely anyone, to move forward. Which leads to another podcast that I actually co-host on with a lady in the States, which is talking back to suicide. So many end up in this situation where it's suicidal thoughts now, and that's the direction, they're going in. So we're also trying to prevent that from happening. But as I said, different podcasts for different topics. So thank you for sharing that. That's going to be a huge inspiration. Your story alone, is a huge inspiration to the listeners and myself as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can make it. I will make it, no matter what's standing in my way.
Yeah.
It's sad to hear about your father. My condolences about that. There's empathy for myself to you about that, paying that price. And I'm sure it still stays with you, even up till now. I'm sure you still feel it, and you still push through it.
Well,
So wow, big ups.
Yeah, when you were talking about blessing in disguise, I think, in general, the suffering we have in life, the pain, that may be a blessing in disguise. Put it this way, if I haven't suffered so much, maybe my motivation won't be so strong to write books. Because, human species is the only species that we need to share our stories. We're the only species we need to share our stories. I think especially I think what put human beings, put us together, put us close, is sharing past experience, sharing goals, but also sharing vulnerabilities. So when you have suffered, when you have struggled, because other human beings, they also, like most of us went through this, most of us. So that actually make us be compassionate. It's about make us be more human. Then imagine if somebody sails through the life, have never suffered anything, how could that person understand you and feel for you and be empathetic and sympathetic, right? I found those people who have everything in life, they're not that sympathetic, they're not that empathetic. Lots of them, they don't. I'm not saying everyone, if they read lots of books, they may obtain that knowledge and the feelings from the stories, but most of them, they don't. The rich and the powerful, they don't. So because of the suffering, our family, the suffering is not just for me, it's for the 3 generations. So that's why I wrote a trilogy, and the House Failure is the first book of the trilogy, and that is the story of my grandmother. So each book focuses on 1 generation, and as I said, without all this pain and suffering, as you said, I couldn't push through because there's too many challenges, too many difficulties, too hard, especially when you have to write fiction in a second language. We why started I want to tell the story so much, and I didn't believe I could do it in a second language. I was looking for a ghostwriter. Yeah. I put my proposal on my project online as a website. You can look for freelance editors and ghostwriters, and I had some when they bid, right, the people bid on your projects, and there's one bid. I remember this clearly because it's from a gentleman in the United States, and he looks like he was in his 50s. He said, okay, I can do this for you, and my requirement is that my offer is I'll go to your house as Ethan's, and I'll be there like for a year, live in their house for a year. You provide me and food and board and pay me so like this amount of money, then I'll write it for you. And in his reply, the email, I found some grammatic mistakes. I'm thinking, oh no. That was the time I realized I had to do this myself. I couldn't rely on any people. I had to do this on myself. Yeah.
But how was that creative process for you? Doing it yourself.
So the first book is about my grandmother. I've been listening, like my mother has been telling me this story ever since I was a little child, right? Her side of family. So she's been telling me this story, and I'm really familiar with it. So while I start to write, first I wrote a really short novella about myself, right? My story in China, and so I sent it to small publisher in Canada, and when they replied to me, I really appreciate that they gave me feedback. Nowadays when you submit your work, you don't really get any feedback, right? They don't have time for that, but they gave me the feedback. They said, actually they had readers for their submissions, and for my little novella, they had two groups of readers. One group is for publication, another group is against. So they argued and debated, and then the group against won. But he told me, he said, really, we feel that there's a bigger story behind this. You should write a novel, not a novella. There's a bigger story. So then I decided I have to write novels. So first I wrote a really, really big long novel, like cover all three generations. It has over 240,000 word counts. Like a word count was over 240,000. Then I couldn't find a publisher. So I didn't know why. I just couldn't find a publisher or literary agent. In 2019, I was paired up with a mentor. So we had a program in Calgary called Borderland Writers Circle. Basically, the program for immigrants writers. And the organization provided that is called Alexandria Writers Center Society. So I was paired up with a mentor, and she told me, she said, your book is too long. She said, for literary fiction, this is too long. Nobody would publish something this long. So she advised me to cut it or to divide it into 2 or 3 books. So I spent a year to do that. I eventually divided it into 3 books. And the first book is about my grandmother. Second is about my parents. Third is my own story before I came to Canada.
Wow.
And yeah. And I'm not an outliner. I don't write outlines because all the stories are in my mind. But I guess I outline in my mind, right? Because you have to have a structure. You have to know where you go. So I think I'm not an outliner in the traditional way, but I outline the story in my mind. But there's tons of rewrite. It took me about 20 years to finish this trilogy. About 20 years. It's like, wow. I have gone through so many editions, because of my English, right? When I first started to take English, creative writing courses and joined a critique group, I have to submit my writing, but then my fellow members, they were not only critique the art form, like the writing, the craft, but they were also correct my grammatic mistakes. I'm thinking, no, I can't let them do this. It's too much work for them. So, and also I felt so embarrassed. So what I did is I hired a copy editor on an installment basis. So for every 2 chapters I wrote, I sent to her. She would edit it. Then she sent back to me. Then I present to my critique group. So I did this so I pretty much did everything twice. Copy editor, structure editor, and manuscript evaluator. So while I was writing, I hired them. After all the feedback, I rewrote. Then I hired them again. So I did and the beta reader and the critique group. I did everything twice, and read tons of books on writing. and took writing courses, and took like both in-person and online courses. So it's a really, really long process. It's really, really, really hard for me, because of, Chinese and English, they're totally two different languages. It's really, really hard for a Chinese speaking Chinese speaking person to write in English, learn the second language, then say German or Spanish language. You know what I mean? It's a little bit closer, similar between those languages than Chinese and English. So it was really a struggle.
Well, I mean, and this leads me back to an interview that I saw you did with, I'll get the name for you now. It was a blog that was posted on Medium.
Yeah.
And the blog started off by saying, and I quote this, "To be a successful writer, you must be passionate about writing. Writing doesn't typically make much money, especially in the beginning. So without love and passion for it, I can't imagine anyone choosing this path. I wrote my first play at age 12, and it was produced at my school." So this goes out, to all creators out there in any component of the industry. If you don't have passion and love for what you do, you might as well stop now. I mean, that's a message I've personally been trying to get out to creators who give it a shot, and a few months down the line, I'm going to give up. This is not working out for me. I'm spending more than I'm actually earning. There's no return on investment for what I'm doing. I'm like, you don't have love and passion for it.
That's right.
Just as you have, stated it with regards to writing, it's the same thing, like me being in the music industry, it's like same applies. If you don't have love and passion for it, stop now. Be a hobby musician, or just be a blogger. Don't become like a full-time author, because it's not going to work out in, the next 2 to 3 months that you think it's, expecting it to. For my own personal experience, it's taken years. It's taken years for me to be now on this podcast, chatting to phenomenal people like yourself. It's taken years, and I still have a long way to go. I understand the financial constraints. I've gone through it. I still go through it, but I have love for what I do. I have passion for what I do, and I do believe at the end of this road, I'm going to see, those financial gains, coming back to me. And I see it step by step. Like growth and wealth is, how society has defined it is completely wrong. It's completely wrong. You judged in society today, especially as a creator, show me how much is in your bank account, or the car you're driving, or the house you're staying in, but that's not it. That's not it,
Yeah. But put it this way, in history, right? Who are remembered? I mean, lots of great artists, great writers, they're remembered. And those how many like dentists and lawyers were remembered? You have to think about that.
That's a good example. And people don't know this of how many great artists actually died broke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great artists. I mean, their work, painters, for example, their work sells for millions of dollars now.
Yeah.
But I mean, when they were actually doing the work, and when they died broke.
Yeah. Like Van Gogh, right? The typical
exactly. Example. Yeah. What a name to mention.
Yeah. Now everybody's says how great he is, and he was, and how much his paintings worth. But when he was alive, it was such a tragedy for artists, right? I mean, yeah. So you often hear something like a broke artist, right? Broke artist, but you never heard like a broke lawyer, a broke accountant, a broke politician. You don't hear those.
Like as a consultant, I tell my clients, focus on building legacy.
Yeah.
Focus on building legacy.
Yeah.
So, when you're not here, your name, your work lives on.
Mm-hmm.
your children will carry their name, when they will continue, hopefully, hopefully continue to build on it.
Yeah.
Strive to build legacy.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about all the short-term gains.
Yeah.
Long-term, have a vision.
Yeah.
Have a vision for your work. It was the Japanese where I read this, that they plan, when they're starting something, they're planning 300 years ahead.
Yeah. And also, there's more than one religion believes that, as human, we die twice. First time we die is our physically, like we die. The second time is when our names are forgotten.
Wow.
That's how you die twice.
Yeah.
So if your name is remembered, you live forever, right?
Exactly.
In another world. Yeah.
Yeah. People are not going to remember you for how much money you had, for what car you drove, or how big was your house, but they're going to remember you for your impact on society and what you did for the next person. Us being here together, yes, we're discussing your life, your career, your work, your book, but it's also an inspiration for now, the listeners out there, which is my mandate. That's what people are going to remember you actually for. You sharing your organic story, on podcasts now. And then also within your books, that's your legacy. That's what you are giving back as well to society.
Yeah, and also, I admire you guys so much. Like, you put up the podcast and all this because you're helping others. You're doing this for other people. You're doing this for your fellow, artists and human beings. I think that's really a great thing to do. I mean, I really, admire and appreciate this.
Thank you.
What you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah. No, but I mean, as I tell all the guests, you are the hero. All I've done is I've set up the platform. I've put my word out there on what my mandate is, what my objective is. But I mean, you guys are the real heroes. Yeah, of course, as a creator myself, I'm involved in music production and so on. But if I don't have individuals like yourself, coming onto the show, sharing your stories, and I've been, over the last year, I've got so much gratitude that each creator that has come on here has been like the perfect match for the show, because it's selfless. Selfless that, look, I'm not just here to talk about me, my work, my book, my music, my label, my publishing company, but also to inspire. Also to inspire. So, I got so much gratitude, for that. So, on the book itself, so the main character, the Golden Phoenix, is this now you referencing your grandmother?
Yeah, my mother's
She's Golden Phoenix.
Yeah,
within the book.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you just want to, with the listeners, in the time that we have, with the listeners, just give a brief, summary about her story, her journey? I've already read it, I know it, but coming from the author herself.
Yeah. This is a historical fiction, the first book, because the time span is from 1920 to 1966. Golden Phoenix, way back when Chinese women, put it this way, their value is measured not by their looks or their wealth, but by the size of their feet. The tinier the feet, the more desirable.
Wow. Okay, I've learned something else new today.
So Chinese parents would bond their daughters' feet at a very young age. Golden Phoenix, being a motherless child, her father delayed the foot binding process. So her feet was not bound until she was 6, which was 2 years too late. So ideal size at the time, the ideal size of women's feet was 3 Chinese twin. They call golden water lily feet. So 3 Chinese twins about 4 inches. That was ideal. And the Golden Phoenix feet were 4 inches, like 4 Chinese twin long. So then that's why she missed her ideal marriage age, because her feet was too large. And also because she was trained as a seamstress, so she became the breadwinner of the family. And that's another reason her father kept her in the house too long, because, when she married, she's supposed to move into her husband's house. And so she didn't get married until age 26. And at that time, she, like, all the young lads were gone, and she had to marry a widower who was 20 years older than her. So in Chinese culture, a woman who marries a widower is called a house failure. That's where the book title came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, she gave birth to 5 children. Then her husband passed away. Then the Japanese came, and she struggled through poverty, wars, 2 wars. One is the second Sino-Japanese War. Another one is a civil war. So after Japanese surrendered in 1945, then the communists and the nationalists start to fight each other, right? So that was a civil war. So she went through that while trying to keep her children safe and together, but she couldn't. It's just too much. Like at the time, the political turmoil was like a huge ocean wave. She just couldn't fight it, but she tried her best, and she did fight back. And so at the end, in the end, she didn't reach her goal of keeping, like, her promise to her late husband. Keep the family together and safe. So that's why the second book, then the third book. Basically, the trilogy is about 3 generations of women pursuing, freedom, independence, and happiness, despite of the overwhelming odds in life. And finally, the third generation, my story, like, I escaped and I obtained freedom, but that took 3 generations to
actually happen.
achieve. Yeah. So so this book is about, there's lots of details there, of course. There's about love and hate, about loyalty and betrayal, about endurance, about trials and tribulation, and about resilience, right? Because you have to be resilient. You have to be alive in order to accomplish or achieve anything. Like, the first thing is about survival, and you if you want to survive, you have to fight, like, with your teeth and claws, or claws and teeth, to really, like, fight. And also, I think this book can be inspirational. It can be inspirational because if Golden Phoenix could, like, after she went through all this and survived, like, anything we experienced in our life, we should be able to survive as well. Because compared with what she experienced, ours is, how do I put it? I don't want to say ours is nothing. Like, everybody suffers, and actually, I have lots of personal stories. But I once joined a grief group, and in the grief group, I learned something very profound. They said, "Do not compare pain with pain. You cannot say, okay, my pain is more than yours. My suffering is more than yours, or this person suffered more than this person." You can't say that, because to that person, that's already, like, that was already huge to that person. So don't compare pains. Like, when you try to help somebody who is in grief or pain, don't say, "Oh, I have gone through worse than your experience. So don't be so sad." No, you can't say that, right? That is not empathetic. And but what I want to say, if Golden Phoenix could survive, we should all be able to. We should too. So that's the message.
Amen.
Yeah.
No, and I don't think the book is like what you said now. Think it's inspirational. For me, it is inspirational.
Okay.
Like,
Thank you.
the character of Golden Phoenix, who is your grandmother. It is inspirational. it is. So we can like put it under, it's inspirational.
Yeah. She suffered so much because what she experienced is horrific, not only like physically, but also emotionally, because her stepson betrayed her in two levels. One is this stepson betrayed his country, and then betrayed her, like his stepmother. So it's just because this stepson worked for the Japanese, worked for the intruding army. It's just horrific what she has gone through. And of course, this stepson had his personal motive. Like, this person has no moral, has no ideal, has no good character. It's just a bad character. But for his own personal interest, that's what he did. Betrayed both his country and his family. Yeah. But even with all this, Golden Phoenix found the true love in her life, which was not easy because way back when all the marriages were arranged, right? It's an arranged marriage that you're not allowed to go out and look for somebody. Yeah, but she found the true love in her life. That was a comfort.
Yeah. So, I'm just going to throw the question out there.
Yeah.
Like the book itself, okay, when we see all, and I just want your personal view on it,
Okay.
Like I am just non-biased at all. I just love to get people's, view on topics, global issues, happening around the world. China at the moment in 2024 being like a communist state. Does your book have any like criticism towards it? Is your your book is your book published in China? Like, can people access it? It's not. You see, so we still got those blockages happening.
I don't think it can be published unless if I make major changes, right? Which I don't plan to do.
You don't want to, yeah.
I don't want to. There's some other Chinese writers. Their book, like they're even like Chinese immigrants. They're already living in outside of China, but if they want, both outside and inside China, if they want their book to be published in China, there's a censorship. We really, really restrict censorship, and usually the publisher would say, if they like the book, they would say, okay, we need you to change this, this, and this. If you don't do this, we cannot publish for you. Period.
Because it can harm government.
Yeah, because it's censorship, right?
Yeah. They want to control the narrative, of course, So, it has to be according to those. But I mean, I'm proud of you for taking a stand and saying, look, I'm not changing anything. This is my story. Not only my story, but this is my family's story.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to change anything, I've got an audience, I don't need to be in there. Yeah, no, I just had to throw it out there, how do you deal, with these situations?
Yeah, China is a huge market. It's a huge market. So lots of artists, writers, they yield to that because they want to make money, right? So they say, okay, I'll make changes. Especially for the authors inside of China, there's no any other way. Like how would they? Some of them they try to publish in Hong Kong and Taiwan, but now Hong Kong is also tightly controlled under the control. So it's really hard for them if they don't yield to that. And but for us, like I'm translating this into Chinese right now, and I hope one day it can be published in Taiwan at least, right? Even though Taiwan is a smaller market, but at least there's a Chinese version there, and for the overseas Chinese, for the bilinguals. Hopefully,
But I mean, look, there's Chinese nationals all around the world,
Yes.
So even you get your book in in Chinese, out there, in the market, there's plenty of people, who would jump at getting it that are not literally in China itself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And also, sorry.
No.
And also, I found lots of Chinese, like my friends, even though they speak English really well because they work, right? You have to speak English to enable to work here. But for their pastime, they don't want to spend energy to read an English book. They still prefer to read in Chinese. So that's why, like, some of my friends, they bought my English book, but someone said, "Oh, we'll wait for you to translate it into Chinese." I said, "Well, come on, if you don't read English, how do you improve your English?"
So, how long are you looking at, before it's converted into Chinese?
Because I think I will finish this year, like 2025. Sorry, not this year, 2025.
I was like, think about myself. Okay, so by tomorrow, by tomorrow.
Yes, I still work for time. Like, I don't do this for time. I work for time, so it's really hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, are you teaching? You an educator full time?
No, I'm not. I'm a financial advisor. I help
financial advisor. Wow, so you carry many hats. So you were a teacher before you used to teach at the university. Now you're a financial advisor, plus great outstanding author. Wow, okay. I never expect that one coming. I never expect. But then you also studied science, correct?
Yeah. My bachelor's degree was in finance and banking because when I was going into university, I preferred to choose a major like Chinese literature or journalism. My parents strongly objected because in China at the time, even now, like be a writer could be dangerous. Like it's a risky occupation because in the history, not only for the current not only after 1949 when communists took over, but even before that, for the history, lots of Chinese writers and poets, they were jailed or even executed for something they wrote. So like Chinese, this is embedded into Chinese parents. Like lots of Chinese parents, don't like their children to study arts or be a writer. It was very common, especially in the 80s. So they forced me to choose banking and finance. And after graduate, sorry.
Yeah. No.
I went to the university to teach banking and finance, but in agriculture economics department. So when I applied for the graduate school in the North America, I applied for study agriculture economics. Simply because like for banking and finance, I should have studied like MBA, but there's no money with MBA program. There's just no money, no scholarship, no TA, no RA. So in order for me to get scholarship, I couldn't do that. So I applied for agriculture economics and were accepted by 4 graduate schools, and 2 out of 4 provided scholarship. I provided RA and TA, and it's a form of scholarship. And the University of Saskatchewan, their schedule is 1 semester earlier than the US one. So I took this one because in China you took the opportunity as fast as you can, right? If you miss it, next one may be gone. You never know what will happen. So that's how I came to Canada. And agriculture economics is considered as science because it's like a tons of math involved. So I pretty much switched from art to science degree, and that was a huge challenge. I think that challenge is even I felt it's bigger than writing a book.
I mean, in 2024, there's still a good amount of parents, around the world who still feel that if you pursue a career in arts, any form of arts, you're wasting your time and, it's not going to work out. How are you going to financially sustain yourself? So, that is still like a roadblock for many artists out there. But I guess, in 2024, living in this digital area, if you just, self-educate yourself, once again, to the listeners who will be listening on this. It's not going to be an easy journey as well to go full time. But, that's why guys like me are here and, bringing, individuals such as yourself, on to be that form of inspiration on, okay, how can I navigate this, Like for yourself, you got a full-time job and on the sideline, you're still doing your writing. So that's one option.
Yeah.
There's just different options on the table, just depends which one you want to take.
Yeah. Well, I want to say something about to the parents in the world. We're just stepping into an AI age, right?
Yeah.
So guess what job will maintain after AI takes over, right? Artists. AI can do all other stuff, but artists
exactly.
AI cannot create. AI cannot. I tell you a story. When ChatGPT first came out, they said, "Oh, ChatGPT can write a story as long as you gave the idea to the AI, right? It can write a story for you." So I gave the idea. I said, "Okay, there's a bobcat, a rabbit, and a kitten. 3 of them are trapped in a certain area in a forest. How do they survive?" Okay. Guess what ChatGPT told me? You'll be laughing at this. Said, okay, at first, the rabbit and the kitten were really afraid of the bobcat, but after a while, they became friends. And then bobcat helped them. Bobcat killed some other animals and helped them, so they all survived. I'm thinking, oh no. That story really sucks.
I think you should write a book on, funny stories from AI.
Exactly. That's a good one.
Funny stories from AI. Put it out there. Probably probably sell in the millions. I mean, that was a very creative prompt you gave it.
Yeah, exactly. Really good.
Well, you brought it up for the first time from all the authors that I've had on till date, on the topic of AI. And, as I said last week, Monday also, it's the cherry on top of the cake question, when I end off the interviews is like the future for creators, do you see it as a threat or do you see it as an opportunity? But based on what you said now, from a creator's point of view, it's an opportunity because AI is not going to be able, or not as yet, give you their authentic art.
Yeah. I think I would like to say that it's an opportunity because for artists, right? For other occupation, it could be a threat. For artists, because right now, even if AI create anything, like say a picture, a painting, say, "Oh, look how wonderful this picture is," AI created for me in seconds. But they're actually what they did, they stole it. They stole other existing pictures and put them together. So they don't have, at least now, they don't have that ability to create. And I really don't. I think a creativity is the talent we human have from God. Like I don't think a machine can do that. The machine can learn and can learn really, really fast. But what they learn from is from us, right? They could not learn from something that never existed ever. So if you ask AI to create a map for you, I tried. The map is unreadable. The reason is that because they're in disguise, they don't want to copy a map. If they copy a map, they're stolen, right? So they try to put a bits and pieces together from so many different maps. Then the word, like the name of the place, is all blurred. You cannot read it. So so I think for artists, really, and also I think AI helped us. Not even AI, just the internet helped me tremendously. For example, when I did, even though I know the story about my family, but I still need to do some historical research, right? Like for big events. So I was able to buy the photocopies of the newspaper published in China in the 1930s and 40s from internet. Can you believe that? Without internet, I couldn't. It's no way I could do that, right? And also, like now for my grandma, I always before I have to always hire somebody. Now, like for I can check with GTP, just say, hey, check my grammatic mistake. It's really time consuming because I'm using a free version and I can only paste like a 250 words a time. But at least there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
But I like to caution all the writers out there, be really, really careful about asking ChatGPT to do editing for you. Because I have this really a painful story, a lesson learned. Well, my book was edited by this editor from my publishing house. And so we only have like about a quarter left, right? We do like back and forth. She would send me her versions and I would send my version and all that. But for that day, that was like on the day before Good Friday of last year. And I was doing my like last round because the deadline was Good Friday. I have to send my last version to her by Good Friday, so day after. So day before, I thought, okay, well, I was go through my manuscript for the last quarter section. I thought, okay, because I caught like even the editor, sometimes they miss things. They're still human, right? Human make mistakes. So I thought, okay, in order for my manuscript to be perfect, I will ask ChatGPT to do the editing for me for the last round. So I did that. Well, ChatGPT provide me different versions. Oh, this sentence, it should be like rewrite this way. That sentence, change this way. And I worked until 4 a.m. On Friday morning. Then I made huge mistake I made. I sent her the clean copy and I deleted my original copy. Like, because I saw that was the deadline. That was the last deadline, right? There's no time to go back and forth anymore. So I sent her the clean copy and used the suggestions made by ChatGPT. By about 5 p.m. Friday night, she called me. She said, "What have you done? What have you done to your manuscript?" I said, "Well, I asked the ChatGPT to do the editing for me." She said, have you realized that you have lost your voice? You have lost your voice. Now we have to go back to, like, we have to restore my version, but I didn't have my original version. So we spending hours on Good Friday and went line by line because she still had my old version and restored it to my old way. She said for all that editing, she said only one sentence, ChatGPT's version is better than yours. All others, your original is way. So that was a huge lesson. Not only that, okay, we restored my original version, but the problem is that ChatGPT could change your meaning subtly. It can change your meaning. You didn't mean this way, but with little bit change, the meaning changed. And I felt something not quite right, but I couldn't pinpoint it. And she said, this sentence, I bet it is not your original meaning. I said, you're right. It is not. So, but after that, because I suffered repetitive strain injury on my both arms in 2002 from my previous job. And my disability injury is like permanent. So I couldn't do too much computer work at one time. And I'd be really, really careful about that and, go through therapies like for the rest of my life. But because of that day, then my arms were gone after that. So I had to take about 10 months disability leave because of all that work I tried to do within the last, that night. So that's, of course, affected my work, my writing, everything. So that's a huge lesson learned. Be really, really careful to ask ChatGPT or any AI to edit your work. Be really careful because it can change your voice. It may not be better than yours. It could be worse. Yeah.
Like for myself as well, whenever, so like I got my own blog, and if I ever use, ChatGPT for editing, like I browse through it. Like I play around with my keywords like a lot to get it in my voice, in my language,
Yeah.
But I will look for, as I'm reading through it, I will like look for, or not really look, I'll come across like a specific word, and that word will be like, no, that's not Kino's sort of word that he would use,
Yeah.
and then you would start to do, those changes. So, I'm just putting that out there,
Yeah.
to anyone who does any form of writing.
Yeah.
Look first before you just like copy and paste, just like, the lesson you learned, look, does it fit? Would I use that word in a normal standard conversation, in my typing or so on? Yeah, cool. But then some words will pop up and this word will be like just, over extreme, it's like just out there. And I'll be like, nah, I take that out and replace it.
Now,
I wouldn't use that word.
Yeah, now I use ChatGPT for, check if this grammatically correct. That's what the question I ask, right? If it's grammatically correct or not. Even ChatGPT can make mistakes. You don't believe they're perfect. I was so shocked to find they made a mistake. Because especially if you only paste like a 250 words a time, it doesn't know the context of the paragraph, right? The words you use. They make mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you have to double check it. You have to double check it and be responsible with it. I also see AI as opportunity. I embrace technology. I move with the times because as a creator, I don't want to be too like I feel, be organic, be yourself,
Yeah.
that's how you need to be out there in the world as a creator.
Yeah.
But use the technological tools available to you in a responsible manner.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. There's going to be, thousands, millions in the future to come. People who are going to abuse the technology just to make a quick buck. It's cool. You just need to do you.
Yeah.
Don't let money now be the goal, the objectives. Oh no, this guy, he found the software, and this is a true story. There's a software out there that can create an ebook on any topic in 5 minutes. It's true. I've played around like with a lot of tools, and then they'll upload it on Kindle or wherever. And some of them are lucky, or some of them portray to be lucky, especially some podcasters and YouTubers out there. Yeah, use this. You're gonna be rich in 24 hours and so on. Like you need to also be, very vigilant as well.
Yeah.
So don't fall for it because, of an image someone else is carrying.
Yeah.
They make it because they're not. By you viewing their video, that's how they're actually making the money. Not using those AI tools.
Okay. And also, the ChatGPT or the AI, how they are trained, they use the existing published books to train them for, I don't know, for writing or for something. So without compensate the author. So right now, the Writers Union of Canada is lobbying the government to change the legislation, either to prevent this from happening or get the author compensated. So my book hasn't been used, but like other authors, they can find out. I don't know how they did that, but there must be a way they can find out if their book is used for training or not. Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
I can imagine, right? My book maybe one day it will be used because it's a historical fiction. And if AI want to know that history of China, my book might be selected without me even knowing. Right? So that's what is happening right now.
But I mean, with the technology, like how it's going at the moment, like even in the music industry, is like, okay, there's AI tools to make music now. Just the same with the writing, AI is taking, and I've done it. I've released AI music, but full transparency to listeners. It's the project that I'm doing, and I turned it into a season and so on. I created the lyrics. I let AI do the rest because I love to experiment. I'm curious.
Yeah, of course.
So, you're curious. So of course now, AI, when it's generating the music, it's taking from here, on the other side of it, like the mainstream labels who are heavily invested, it's like how government is, they invested on both ends. So invested on the one end where we're investing in the AI software that can actually generate the music. But on the other end, we're also investing in tools to pick up where samples that weren't supposed to be used was actually used so we can compensate those songwriters.
Yeah.
So, so the same sort of thing, So authors now, they probably have come across software that is out there somewhere floating around to say, okay, you know what? Your book has been used here. You need to be compensated, in form of royalties because it has been used. Yeah. So that's, quite awesome as well.
I think AI can be a double-edged sword, right? It can hurt and it can help and it can hurt. It depends on how you use it and control it.
Exactly. Yeah, how you use it, control it. Yeah, couldn't have said that better.
Yeah.
But so your name is like pronounced Tong Ge or Tong Ge.
Tong Ge.
Tong Ge.
Yeah.
Tong Ge.
Yeah.
Tong Ge.
Yeah. By the way, I almost forgot. This book won 2024 Independent Prize Award for New Fiction, and is a finalist for 2024 Eyelands Book Award, which is in Greece, and the finalist for 2024 Canadian Book Club Awards. The winners of the Canadian Book Club Awards hasn't been announced yet. It will be announced in January. So right now, thank you. It's one winner and the 2 finalists.
Yeah, congratulations. This has been a really, really good conversation. Thank you, so much for coming on. I mean, how we started off, how we ending off, like it's been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So, I mean, I will be in contact with regards to, the Global Forum. It's off the record. It's something that, like people ask me, should I go through my publicist and so on, Of course, if you want to inform your publicist, that you just, joining a Global Forum discussion, but it's off the record as willing as people taking up their time, resources they're using, such as their laptop or computer data, just to come on this forum, just for us as a group, to do our best to educate people out there and just to make the world a better place as much as we can.
For sure. That's a really meaningful.
So, I mean, I'll share that information with you. We haven't confirmed the date yet, for January, but, after the first, after this week has passed, and everyone's back at home and so on, then Dawn and I will, confirm a date and we'll share it with you. And yeah, it'll be cool to have you come on.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. A lot of gratitude. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat soon. We'll definitely chat soon.
You too.
Oh yeah, one more question. So where I will also do my own research. Where can people find you online to purchase your book and so on? Website.
Yeah. My book is available on Amazon. Amazon and Kindle and Indigo. That is a Canadian chain bookstore. Walmart, Kobo, Barnes and Noble in the States, and some libraries in Canada, and also some libraries in the United States. But I found very interesting. Most libraries in the United States collect my book are university libraries. I don't know why. They are. I also have a website. Is my name tong-ge.com. Just one word of caution. If people just type in the house filler on Amazon, you would get a whole bunch of household items. So yeah, you need to see my name as well, like the house filler, like the house filler -Tong Ge. That you'll find it.
What I'll do in the description is I'll just share the direct link.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I don't think I'll make that mistake. The link, and there's a cooking pot. I'll definitely share that in the descriptions. Yeah. So once again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
you
Kina.
so much.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll chat soon.
You too. Bye.
Right. Okay, bye.
Bye.